What's the meanest thing you did as a kid? This girl annoyed me, but she liked hanging out with me so much. I went to my guidance counselor to be like, I have enough friends. How can I get rid of her? He gave me some nice ways of letting her know that her friendship wasn't fulfilling to me. But I was in elementary school, so I took the gist of what he said and just told her to leave me alone. It hurt her pretty bad. She moved not too long after that. I feel terrible 20 years later. Had to repeat a statement over and over to a girl. Finally said, "Are you freaking deaf?" Turns out she had recently lost almost all her hearing in both ears. Still feel terrible for it? I was at a Taco Bell one night with some friends and there was a mat in front of the doors inside. Whenever someone walked in, they tripped on a crease in the mat. Every time someone fixed it, I walked over and put the crease back in it. Brought a book of matches to daycare. There was kid I didn't like. I'd planned on setting them on fire at nap time. My plan didn't work as I'd hoped, and I think a teacher took the matches before anything really happened. I was super jealous of my younger half-sister, 8 years younger. She lived with my mom, who had a lot more disposable income. I lived with my dad, who struggled to make ends meet, by the way. My dad is a much better parent, and there are very good reasons why I lived with him. My sister got all these cool toys, new clothes, etc. I even thought her nickname from our mother was better. She called her Lovey-Doo. My nickname was Pooputini. Why? I don't have a single clue. Ma is bat poop crazy. So I told my little sister that the child with the longest nickname is loved more. She cried a lot. TLDR, told my baby sister our mother loved me more BC my nickname was longer. My older sister invited a friend over when I was probably 7 years old. I was thin. My sister was thin. It's genetic. You get the gist. Anyway, her friend was rather overweight for a 13-year-old. I asked my sister why her friend was so fat, since I'd never seen any other obese kids. Her friend overheard me say it, and it made her cry. She didn't spend the night as originally planned, and I felt horrible for having hurt her feelings. Kicked the weird kid in the balls once. A year or two later, I'm diagnosed with autism. Then I'm the weird kid everyone kicks instead. Karma's a bitch. You know those dried up white dog turds? I convinced my brother they were wild growing marshmallows and got him to put one in his mouth. My little sister and I had separate buckets of Lego. Hers were the ones more targeted to girls, lots of pink, flowers, etc. But I wanted them. So, fully knowing that they would be nearly impossible to separate, I looked her square in the eye and mixed her entire bucket into mine. I still feel bad about it, and that was about 25 years ago. I found one of the sets she had on eBay and gave it to her for Christmas last year, but I know I can't really make up for it. My little brother packed a bag and said he was running away, so told him nobody cares and locked the door behind him when he left. He came back after a few minutes, bit a kid and threw him off a slide. I tricked a kid into eating rocks. He had bullied my sisters and I at school and was trying to steal our candy. He had left for a bit, saying that he would be back. I filled one of those smaller boxes of nerds with the small rocks from the end of the driveway and gave it to him when he came back. He took the box, downed it, and started spitting it out. A couple decades later, and it still haunts me that I could have choked him. Yes, he was a bully, but that was not a good reason for me to be mean in return. Wasn't exactly a kid, I was probably 14 or 15, but I wrote "fuck" on the side of the garage in my then 7-year-old little brother's cursive handwriting, in a place where I knew my mom or stepdad would see it. Sure enough, not long after, probably garbage recycling day, since it was by the bins, I heard my stepdad angrily calling his name. Little brother had no idea what was going on. Lol. I was in my room laughing so hard I was crying. I didn't tell him it was me until many years later. I think he assumed it was one of his friends all that time. Kicked my third grade bully in the nuts while wearing cowgirl boots. Sent this 7th grade jerk to the I don't feel too bad. He was horrible to me for most of that year. Bruises. Crying almost every day. Frick him. Sent this 7th grade jerk to the I don't feel too. Way back when the Power Rangers first came out. To put it short, we were both heads of a clique that detested each other. One day during break we were all playing capture the flag on the quad. His clique versus mine. I got cocky and he was able to catch me, so had to go back to my home base. At this point I was livid because I accused him of cheating by camping their flag. So out of spite, I went through his backpack and stole all the Power Rangers chocolates he had and hid them away behind some loose Wallapar. I knew he would blame me, so when they asked me if I've seen them I told them that they are welcome to check my belongings. Was found innocent. Went back to my P.R. Choco stash at the end of the day and ate them all like a rabid raccoon and got sick as soon as I got home. Some 20 years later he and I are best friends and I'm godfather to his daughter. Never told him. A kid in my class had brought a bag of chocolates with the characters of the show. Now this kid and a punk in the neighborhood around my age. But he only got in trouble for groping me. He tried to go after the 3-year-old little sister of one of my friends. He was 9 when this happened. We had freaking had it. After we told him off, he made some misogynistic remark he said he picked up from the other neighborhood punkin'. Well, he told us, "It's my job as a guy to order you around. You're my hose," and demanded we push him on one of the swings. So we did. All at once. Right up into a freaking tree over and over for almost 30 minutes. Until he was screaming and wailing to get off our wild ride. I told him he'd get worse in jail for going after a 3-year-old. After he was legit sobbing and crying for his mom, we let him get off. He was still a douchebag after that, but he never tried to grope us again. I don't feel bad at all. Groped me. Groped a bunch of us. The meanest thing I did as a kid was not bully another kid. I hated one boy in my class. He was your typical douchebag, always bragging about being intellectually superior. He was not, and not being like other boys, whatever that means. I hated him so much I thought about bullying him and having my friends harass him. But then I saw an interview of some actor, don't remember who said that he owed his success to the bullies and people who told him he couldn't make it, because it motivated him to prove them wrong. So I decided I would not bully this kid. I would not indirectly motivate him to become successful. Here's why. I remember when I put bubble gum in my